Before we get into today's interview, let's hear a little bit about the book from the author.
TLC Tropical Literature Creators presents Caribbean Book of the Day. Today's book is...
Hi, my name is Candy Moore. I have a three-part series titled The Wife of a Jamaican Billionaire. It is under the genre of urban fiction romance. The book is about a woman who is in trouble and she stumbles across a wealthy Jamaican who proposes a fake marriage to assist her. The book can be found on Amazon, Kindle Unlimited. It's available in paperback and also hard copy.
You want to hear more books by Caribbean authors? Be in the know. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. This segment has been sponsored by Pro Bikes Caribbean. Pro Bikes Caribbean. Get yours today. Greetings, listenership. Welcome to TLC Tropical Literature Creatives, the podcast where we interview authors of Caribbean heritage about themselves and about their literary works. Today we have with us authoress Candy Moore, author of the book The Wife of a Jamaican Billionaire and a couple of other books. Candy, welcome to Tropical Literature Creatives.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for agreeing to be interviewed. It has been a long time coming, and for those of you who don't know, I've been trying to interview Candy for a very long time. Candy, in terms of your book, The Wife of a Jamaican Billionaire, for those of us who are not acquainted with it, can you tell us a little bit about it in your own words?
Okay. So that was when did that book come out? Last year? Okay. So the book is based in Miami. It's about a young mother named Ashley. She has a son named Cairo. That's his name, Cairo.
Mm-hmm.
He stole an item from a jewelry store. The item was pretty expensive. The item got damaged in the process of him stealing it. But in reading the book, don't worry, he stole it for a very good reason. So he got caught, unfortunately. Ashley gets called into the office of the owner of this jewelry store.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out to be this wealthy Jamaican guy.
Ah.
Now, Ashley is engaged and she and her fiance are going through it. And they are having financial issues. So because of the damage that is done to this watch, you know, the owner of the jewelry store is like, okay, so how do you plan to compensate me for this watch? This watch is extremely expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So she has absolutely no way of compensating this guy for this watch. Now, he is also going through it at home with his parents, in terms of him being a bachelor and having all these businesses, and he's not married. So his dad is, he came up with this ultimatum, listen, you all, because it's like triplets, right?
Oh.
So he put all his sons together and he said, none of you are married. What is going on? I gave you all these businesses. I want to see you all, even though you all are successful, I want to see you all family oriented.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he comes up with this proposal, right? The guy who owns the jewelry store, he comes up with this proposal to Ashley. He said, listen, okay, so you can't pay me back. I need a wife,
Oh.
right? So maybe we can help out each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the book kind of kicks off. So it's kind of based on around like an arranged marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that's basically the theme, which is a very, very popular theme in the urban genre.
Ah.
And yeah, so that's how it kicks off. So you see their journey, through this arranged marriage and if they would actually remain married and if they would actually fall in love with each other. So that's what the book is about.
Okay. Okay. As you just explained the book, what inspired you to write this?
Funny story. This book was published under my new publisher. And it was not supposed to be about Jamaicans at all.
Oh.
Yeah. So when we were trying to come up with a title, I had a title in mind and I gave him that title and he did not like it. So he asked me what was my most successful book under the last publisher I was with. And I told him it was captured by a Jamaican drug lord. It was about this Jamaican guy, right? So he
Mm-hmm.
said, okay. He said, since that worked, let's not change it. Let's continue, under the topic of Jamaicans. So I was like, oh, I was like, no, I really didn't want to because I actually had started writing, this book. And then he comes with this Jamaican storyline. And I was like, oh my God, I really don't want to. And he said, no, let's not change it. If you're saying that your last successful book was about Jamaicans, let's not change it. Let's stick to it. I said, okay, fine, I'm gonna trust you. And he juggled around for a bit and he came up with the title and he gave it to me. He said, okay, so that's your title. You do your thing, come up with a storyline. And I was like, okay, cool. And I did. And that's how the book came about. But in the beginning, it had absolutely nothing to do with Jamaicans.
Whoa. Okay.
I know, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, where'd that come from? But we understand where it came from now. Uh,
Yeah.
was this your first novel, or have you written other books before this?
Oh, no, no, no. I have been writing since what, 2016? So right now I have over 30 books published.
30 books to
Um,
say.
yeah, yeah, since 2016, yeah, that's enough time. Yeah, so this isn't my first book.
I noticed, well, the books that you published, are they self-published, or do you had mentioned going through a publisher before? Does that remain the case, or are these books self-published now?
No, I don't do self-published because actually I did try. I have like just about two,
Mm-hmm.
and there was another publisher that I was under. I got back the rights to my books.
Mm-hmm.
So those books are self-published. But in terms of writing the book from scratch and doing it on my own, I only have two books like that. I prefer right now to write under a publisher because it's easier in terms of in terms of marketing. Publishers have a very wide audience. I am so shy in the author world. I don't I don't mingle too well in terms of being very, very social and very, very active on social media. The
Mm-hmm.
only thing I post are like books. I don't share personal information, you know, about myself. Um, and I think sometimes that can work in your favor and it also can't. Um, Sometimes readers, they kind of gravitate more towards the authors who share a lot, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and unfortunately, I'm not really like that. So my audience, even though it is growing, um, I don't think it was enough for me to pursue self-publishing just yet. I know eventually I would want to, because eventually I want to move away from the urban genre and just kind of stick to romance, urban romance, instead of, the kind of street lit type of type of writing.
Mm-hmm.
So I know eventually I'll get there, but just not right now. So I prefer publishing under publisher.
Well, you mentioned deviating a little bit from the genre that you're presently writing. What other genre you think you'd want to explore?
Just romance, just strictly romance. And also like interracial um reads. I think those are really, really popular. And I actually did attempt to write an interracial book, but I didn't promote it much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because that's a kind of iffy kind of a genre. To go from urban fiction to jump to interracial is a kind of a big leap. And everybody don't really accept it too well. So eventually I think I would just kind of go in that direction a little bit and see how it goes from there. But just strictly romance and interracial, yes. So
No, it sounds really interesting that you're willing to explore different genres to see, I mean
Yes.
how well you work in it because I've noticed that particular theme among some authors. Some of them writing different genres, it comes naturally, whereas others they like the challenge of attempting something new. And
Yes.
I mean, I'm listening to you, and it doesn't sound like you have much to lose in the sense that you've been doing this for quite some time. I imagine that you've had quite a following where your books are concerned, and if it is that they hear, here's what she's trying something new, they'll be like, you know what? Let's see what she's trying. Let's just see if the
Yes.
standard is maintained throughout. So yeah, all the best, all the best.
Yes. Thank you.
In terms of the genre, urban fiction, etc., was it really popular is it more popular in the Caribbean or is it more popular abroad?
Oh, definitely abroad. Most of my readers are like 98% US based. I
Whoa.
am yeah, I am trying so hard to slowly trickle into getting getting recognized locally. Um I'm a bit of an introvert, so gonna take it's gonna take some time for me to be brave enough, to get myself out there. Um, I think I will try TikTok. I think TikTok is, you know, really, really popular in terms of trying to get certain content out there.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking about maybe doing a little TikTok videos where they will actually see the person who comes up with these crazy stories.
Ah,
A
okay.
couple videos, to see if I can gain some Trini followers. I'm gonna use TikTok for now, to try to get my name out there some more. But for now, it's definitely more US based.
Okay. You wouldn't believe how it is I happened to find out about you. It was actually from another local author in Trinidad and Tobago, you know.
Oh, for
Um,
real?
for real. Yeah. Yeah, he told me about
Okay,
this.
what's her name?
No, actually it's a him. It's a him.
Oh, for real? A man?
Yeah, yeah.
What?
No, see, yeah,
What's his
it's out, it's
name? Yeah, because I'm like, men read what?
yes, they don't just read, they write as well. And
Oh my goodness.
yeah, yeah, I'll remember his name before we finish the interview. But yeah, I was interviewing him, and
Uh-huh.
he told me about you. He said that he really enjoys the writing of a local author named Candy Moore, and I was surprised because he spoke very highly of your work. So I was like, I had to find this Candy Moore, and it
My
wasn't.
goodness.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
The local author's name is Tristan Walker, and he wrote a couple of books, the Creative Justice series. Um, yeah, yeah, like I
It's
said,
available on Amazon also.
yeah, it's also available on Amazon and also from the author. I think if it is, I send like his socials, I think you should reach out because, like I said, he spoke very highly of your work. So, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind adding him. Like if he's on TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that, I don't mind adding him. That's nice.
Yeah, he's also out there as well, and just like yourself, he has gone the route of going social and to promote his book, etc. As a matter of fact, he was also interviewed on Tropical Literature Creators a while ago. So
Okay, okay,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
Uh,
And what genre is this that he writes under though?
uh same crime, well, not sorry, not urban. You write urban. He does more
Uh-huh.
crime, more like crime type novels, etc. That's
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, the genre is more like suspense thriller, and you wouldn't believe it's a lot of it is based in Trinidad and Tobago. So you would see
Oh, for
places
real?
like yeah, places like Chagonas and Tunapuna and Piako.
Oh,
So
okay, okay.
so you would feel at
Okay,
home.
I'm gonna look him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna look him up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like I said, that's how I found out about you. So yeah, look him up. Look him up. I have to ask as well, having authored over 30 books, I mean, has you has your writing progressed, over time? After doing it so many times, has the process become easier? Is it that, someone just gives you an idea and at the drop of a hat, you can just, write a novel within a particular time frame? You can gauge how long you would take to dole out a manuscript, etc.
Hmm. Okay, well, I wish somebody would come give me ideas. I would love that. I don't ever get ideas. Nobody ever comes up and say, "Oh my gosh, I have a book idea for you." Like that literally never happens.
I mean, I'm confused, like 30 books. So,
Yeah, all of that, yeah, that's all from up in my dome here, up in my head. Sometimes just listening to a song or hearing somebody talk about something that they went through, people's everyday experiences. Sometimes even listening to the news.
hmm
Um, you know, it just this light bulb will just go ting and be like, oh my God, it's such a good idea for a book. So that's basically how my books are created. It's just everyday life. And I don't think writing gets easier per se. I mean, it's sometimes I start a book and then I'll just be like, oh my God, whoever told me to become an author? Because sometimes sometimes is really a lot, and from the first two pages, if you don't draw that reader in, trust me, they're gonna put down the book. So sometimes it's a challenge in terms of how you write the book to make sure you keep the reader engaged. That's really, really important. So I wouldn't really say it gets easier.
hmm hmm
Um, in terms of when I started, compared to now, like how I would write, that would be easier in terms of like formatting the book then. Because I remember when I started writing, I was like, oh my gosh, how do I do this? And how do I move from one scene to another without it being too clustered and making no sense and just having the transition be smooth? I think
hmm
things like that will become easier. But in terms of actually writing the book, that to me that don't ever really be easy. It's really a process.
Okay, okay. Um, would you say being a Trinidadian, has that, your cultural background, has that helped you in your writing process?
Um, in a way, yes, and in a way, no. Because like I remember you sent me my I think was my last book that I wrote here. And you were like, oh my gosh, you really like to write about Jamaicans.
Yes, that was the observation that I made.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I was like, well, you have to give the reader one and the same one, you know. So it really is important to know what will sell and you gravitate towards that. So sometimes it's just about knowing what it is your readers will want and you just give it to them.
okay. So I guess that you've done your research to know exactly what
Abs-
appeals to your listeners, your
abs-
followers.
yes, absolutely.
Okay, okay. So I mean, you make writing sound like a thinking man's game. It's not just, I write something and you just give it out to them. You find out what they put.
Oh no, absolutely. You
Yeah.
have to do research and you have to be consistent. Those are the two important things. So like for me, I write series, right? Because well, my publisher, he prefers series. So in terms of writing series, you have to be consistent. You can't put out part one today and then 5 months down the road you're writing part two. The
Mm-hmm,
readers, they're gonna forget, right? So being consistent is key when it comes to writing. Yeah, you have to gain the trust of the readers.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I guess persons listening, can take that piece of advice, gaining the
Oh,
trust of,
yeah,
etc.
definitely.
Uh, as you finish this particular book, the wife of the Jamaican billionaire. I mean, you've written over 30 books, but it's just this book that I'm acquainted with at this point in time. Uh, what do you have planned for 2024? What is next on your agenda? Four
Oh,
books.
I released part one of my newest series, that would have been the cover that you sent me.
Ah,
Virgin and the rich Jamaican next door. Yeah, the Jamaican again.
yes.
Um, so part one was released last week. Was it Wednesday? I think it was a Wednesday. It's currently, I think, number 8 on the top 100 in the genre that I write in.
Wow, 8 out of
Um,
100.
yeah, yeah,
Wow, okay.
yeah.
Wow, all right.
Um, yeah. So I'm currently working on part two.
Mm-hmm. Okay, not bad, not bad at all.
Oh yes. It's really accomplishment. I really do pat myself on my back when, my book reaches number one or it is in the top five and stuff. I really do pat myself on
No, that,
because there are lots of authors actually who have been writing longer than me, have never achieved that. Um, the last Jamaican series that I did of a Jamaican billionaire, it's part two and part three went to number one. So those are really accomplishments that I am absolutely humbled by and very grateful for, because here's this little Trinidadian girl writing these books that are based in the US. And, so I'm pretty humbled to be doing so well.
no, and I think it's a real encouragement again. It's a phrase that I keep on repeating on this podcast, that the prophet is not without honor except in his own country. And
True.
it's interesting that you're really popular abroad, but I mean
Yes.
the local readership, they're not too enthused or they don't know as much as the other persons abroad. But I guess with your intentions to be a bit more, to look more on your social media presence, that should change.
Yes, hopefully. And once I improve with social media and stuff, and I think I can safely transition from being under a publisher to being self-published, I would love to write a book, like how Tristan writes about Shagonas and Piako. I would love to write a book in my local tongue, where I could speak how we speak and everybody will just understand what it is I'm saying, you know. That's like one of the main things that I want to do.
Well, I recommend again Christian Walker. Yeah, give him a read because
Yeah,
I was really encouraged when I started reading his novel because, like I said, I'm not too sure if persons abroad would feel the same, but you just feel a level of comfort when you're going through a novel
yes,
and the language and the dialogue that you could relate to, and the persons
yes,
and the characters you can
I
also
know.
relate to, even the situations you could relate to, and it makes them more comfortable read. I don't know if other persons feel like that.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why sometimes you know, Trinidad wise, that you might really get that type of fan base that you're looking for because they maybe might find they can't relate because these stories are not based in Trinidad, they're based in the US, and I don't know, maybe it mightn't be as popular with us as opposed to the Americans. So that's kind of one of the reasons why, I want to just write in my own dialect.
Okay. Well, and I think, well, I mean, as popular as you are, if it is that you do something like that, I think your readers would be exposed to something else as well. So who knows?
Yes, true.
Yeah. I, I mean, all the best with the experimenting, and I guess I look forward to hearing all the good things that you'll be doing. Um, Rabo, to wrap up the interview at this point in time, do you have any advice for persons who may be interested in doing a genre that is similar to yours, urban fiction?
Advice, it don't have to be in terms of my genre, but in terms of, because a lot of people actually have reached out to me. Um, they would have gotten information about me from, whoever, and they reached out to ask, what advice I can give. And I always tell people, don't ever listen to anybody. I tell you, okay, no, don't write. Why you want to write a book or whatever negativity that may come with it, you have an idea for a book, you go ahead and you follow your dream, sit down and write. Don't let anybody try to discourage you. Just do what you gotta do. Sit and write and write and write. Every 5 minutes that you have nothing to do, write until you completed your book. And then you take the next step to publish. You know, I always encourage people, don't ever let anybody, the noise from the outside discourage you. You just, that's what you want to do and you work towards it. Just right.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, authoress Candy Moore, author of The Wife of a Jamaican Billionaire, amongst which is one book amongst 29 other books. Candy, thank you very much for agreeing to be interviewed.
Thank you so much for having me.
You take care.
Okay.
What a ride! Big thanks to Candy Moore for dropping gems and taking us deep into the drama of the trophy wife of a wealthy gangster. Want more bold Caribbean stories? Help us hit 500 followers in 2 months. Tap that follow, share with a friend, and always be in the know with TLC Tropical Literature Creatives.